Hello, today is Tuesday, October 20, and we are going to talk about making a graph that talks. So to start out, I wanted to point out that under announcements, you can see what we are doing in class today. Tuesday in class, we will learn about the talks method for graphing on slide 15 in our Inquiry Digital Notebook. And we're going to also play a Kahoot to review what we learned there. Then Wednesday's assignment is reading data charts and graphs. It's a formative and it's ready to go. So as soon as you're done with class, if you decide that you want to work on it early so you don't have to worry about finishing it or forgetting to finish it, you can. Don't forget to use your Inquiry Digital Notebook for that assignment. The talks method will definitely help you. Also, if you need to look at copies of my notebook or my helicopter investigation so that you can make sure that everything is up to date and that you're not missing anything, you can look at that here. All right, then we're going to go back to today's date and we're going to go down to This Week in Science, and we're going to go to Tuesday, and we're going to go to the Inquiry Digital Notebook. And you'll notice that Wednesday's assignment is already posted as our assignment for tonight, but it goes into tomorrow. It's the same exact assignment. You can also check your grades to see if there's anything missing. All right, Inquiry Digital Notebook. And we're going to click on, and by the way, this video will be linked here also. Click on your Inquiry Digital Notebook so that it pops up. And we're going to go down to page 15. So yesterday we talked about collecting data and we talked about making a data chart that has independent variables, which I just realized that I totally forgot to highlight with you. So what we're going to do is you're going to just click inside that box and then come on up here to where it says fill color. It looks like a little paint can. And we're going to do the independent variable green. And the dependent variable, we're going to do the same thing, fill the can, and we're going to do that in blue so that way we remember that this is our independent variable and these are our dependent variables. All right, then we are going down to page 15, graphing. All right, so what exactly is a graph? I asked that in class and most of you came up with the idea that it is a picture of your data. Okay, we're just going to take that information that we've gotten in number form and we're going to put it into a picture form, often in the form of a bar graph. And to do that, we are going to use something called the talks method, which is just a method that is used to help remember the parts of a graph so that you don't forget any piece of it. All right, so the first part of the talks graph is the title. And a good title always has at the top of it, it is always written above the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that and I'm going to underline it. And it tells what the graph is about and it's going to include, and here's the really important part here, the independent variable, and I'm going to put that in green, and the dependent variable. I'm going to put that in blue. Okay, so it could be amount of water versus height of the plant, or how water affects how tall the plant grows. But what we're going to do is we're always going to have the independent and the dependent variable in there, so that way we know what the graph is about. All right. Second thing are the axes, and these are the dependent variable, and that one is in blue, is always going to go on the y-axis, and I'm going to underline that. The y-axis is the one that goes up and down, and so that's where the dependent variable always goes, and you'll be able to see that back on page 14 because I actually put that in there, and again, I'm going to underline it. And then we have our independent variable, which is the thing that you're changing on purpose, and that is green. And that is going to be on the x-axis. And the x-axis is the one that goes side to side. So it's at the bottom of your graph. Okay. So if we were doing our helicopters, the thickness is going to go on the bottom. So your two thicknesses will be on the bottom. And then on the side would be the time that it took to drop. If we're talking about the plants, you'd have the amount of water at the bottom. And then on the side, you'd have how tall it grew. All right, then we need to add labels. Now, labels basically just mean that we are explaining all the details that we need to make sure are in there. Labels for like correct variables. So if you have more than one version of the independent variable, you're going to want to label those variables. So like thick and thin, or 0 cups, 1 cup, and 2 cups, right? So you're going to have those variables labeled. And then the other thing that's super important is that if we are using units of measurement, that those are labeled as well. So that's like your, like we talked about yesterday, that is like centimeters. So if we're measuring the height, you might have it in centimeters. If we're measuring time, that would be in seconds. And the reason I'm going to put the parentheses there is that when we label our units, we always put them in a parentheses. Okay. All right. Next, the key. Now, I'm going to say right here that I want you to put down, we're going to press enter right here, that a key is optional. This is only if you need to have, if you don't have enough space or you have more than one piece of data that needs to really be kind of delineated. So if you have a line graph that shows 2 different lines on it with different colors, you're going to want to make a key that says what each color means. If you decide to make a bar graph, but your bar graph doesn't have enough room at the bottom of the x-axis to give the labels for the different types of materials, or sorry, for the different categories, then you might make a key which would have each color and it would say what those colors mean. So thick is blue, thin is green, or whatever. Okay. Finally, we're going to have the scale, and the scale are the numbers. Okay. The numbers that go on the sides of your graph. Usually we're going to talk about the scale mostly in terms of the y-axis, but sometimes you're going to have them on the x-axis too. You may need to, like it says, you might need to put a scale on the x-axis, and you are going to count by common intervals. So I'm going to underline that one. That's really important. So it might go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or it might go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, or 10, 20, 30, 40, or 1, 2, 3, 4. But we aren't going to skip around. You're not going to go 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, 50. You're not going to skip all over. Okay. And we want to use as much of the X and Y axis as possible. Basically, we want that data spread out so that you can really see the patterns. So I'm going to just underline that right there. All right, so that's all there is to talks. And I'm actually going to try and upload for you guys tomorrow a graph that you can, that we'll add to this so that you can see in your notes what a good talks graph looks like. Now we're going to go to Kahoot.it, and I will try to also link this for you guys. So if you want to play it on your own time, you can, but we're going to go ahead and play Kahoot as a class. Don't forget that you have an assignment for tomorrow, and you can find that under This Week in Science, and you can also find that in the announcements. Good luck, and if you've got questions, please email me. Bye.